Zarania Zaharan is a serial entrepreneur from Malaysia. In order to escape city life, she would often travel to the mountains. But during a trek in the Himalayas, she found inspiration for her latest green business.
I was facing this problem, the toilet, right? I just have to find a toilet. And what shocked me was the last toilet at this Everest base camp. There's a mountain of poop inside. And I was like, whoa. I started to become conscious about the environment. And I started to realize, hey, it's the people who's polluting the environment.
Zarania invented the Eco-Loo, a biological toilet system that uses zero energy, creates zero sewage, and most importantly, uses zero water. All with the help of a special formula of microorganisms to break down the waste.
We formulated this special microbe where you just need to apply like 20 grams. It's powder form, as you can see it. You just need to mix with lukewarm water, about 1 liter, shake it and leave it for a while, activate it, like you activate the yeast, right, to make bread. Same thing, you just activate it and they will become just put them inside the bowl and that's it, you're done.
Once in contact with human waste, the microbes transform the waste into natural liquid fertilizer, perfect for organic farming.
It was difficult in the beginning. You become motivated, like, hey, I didn't know that some people would appreciate what we are doing. So I said, okay, I'll just do it, It may take time, but it will become fruitful one day.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining us today and welcome to another program under Water Think Tank, and this is our first program under Pitch Perfect. And before that, just want to introduce Water Think Tank to all of you. Water Think Tank is initiated to create a space to explore and discuss past experiences, current approaches, innovations and future needs related to water ecosystem in a broad sense of definition. And today, Pitch Perfect, we want to have a conversation on innovative ideas and approaches within water ecosystems that geared towards human rights, equity, sustainability, green agenda, climate change, and many other components of it. And we also want to use this opportunity to create curiosity and create opportunity for a dialogue on new ideas and approaches. And what is perfect about this particular inaugural Pitch Perfect program that we have, other than having Zuraina on the program. Hi, Zuraina. You're on mute, Zuraina.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Yes. So this is really fantastic that we're having you for our inaugural program, knowing that toilet are the most overlooked aspect of any part of sanitation, rarely talked about. We don't even think there is a need to have innovation when it comes to toilets. So before we dive right in, I just want to present some facts and figures and some corrections on the description of the program when I actually posted it up. So it is not 900 million people that do not have toilets. It's actually 2.4 billion people that do not have basic sanitation services. So I would like to thank Datuk Teo, my former boss, when he saw the description and he immediately messaged me, Prita, I think you got something wrong. So thank you very much, Datuk, for that correction. And I just want to raise here some of the data that shows that 1 out of 4 people do not have basic water services. You do not have basic water services, unlikely you have a basic sanitation services. So you can imagine how huge this is on a global platform. And another part of it is about 892 million people are still practicing open defecation. So most likely than not, they are practicing open defecation because they do not really have that particular infrastructure to use. So this is an important conversation for us. And I'm glad to have Zuraina on board. And Zuraina, before we go into what is Eco-Loo, I would love to know where was that CNN video clip actually was recorded, because there was like very green, there was roosters at the back. So where's that?
That was actually at it was interviewed at Kebun Bangsa If you're familiar with that,
Okay.
it's somewhere in Lucky Garden, KL. It actually was taken care of by this NGO um, under Think City. I think it's they work for
Okay.
Think City or something like that. So they needed toilet for that small farm. So when CNN said, "Hey, we need to interview you," where would be the best location for the interview? I said, "Where do you want it to be? Factory, office, or the real toilet?" They said, "Yes, we want the real toilet." I said, "Okay." Then we go to the farm. So we went to the farm,
Okay.
and it was so funny because it was so busy with the animals. Like it's like a pet farm almost. We have roosters. We had people donate some animals, cow,
Okay.
chicken, duck, just name it, swan.
Okay.
So all kinds of noises. So they thought, oh, this is nice. So they interviewed me, and then I said, okay. Then while we were doing while they were shooting, suddenly the chicken make noise, and then we had to stop the interview for every few seconds. Wait, let the chicken stop first, and another chicken take over, and then it goes on and on. Then we had fun.
Wow. So that is really smack in the heart of a city. You're saying Bangsa. Oh,
Exactly.
fantastic. So is your toilet still there?
It is.
Is it?
They even use some of the fertilizer on the non-crop plantation, and it works so well.
Oh, okay. Great, great. So, Zorana, the first and foremost, we have known each other for many years. So it's not my story, it's your story. And that story coming from Malaysia is amazing for me. So please do
Thank you.
share what is Ecolu is all about.
Sure. Hi everyone, Zuraina here, the co-founder and CEO of Ikulu Green Tech Malaysia Sdn Berhad. We established Ikulu as a social enterprise simply to produce sustainable toilet or eco-friendly toilet that doesn't use any water for flushing, but we use special enzyme to treat the waste, to kill the smell, the bad odor, to break down the waste, the solid waste into particles, small particles, like almost like ashes. And then and we convert the urine into natural fertilizer that is perfect for agriculture. So this is Ecolu. It's a standalone, decentralized. We don't need any access to sewage treatment plant pipe, piping, or even septic tank. It's you just park it anywhere and use it, or plug and use they call it, right? So that's it. It's very simple biological treatment that is done on site.
So I would like to know what actually inspired because I mean it's we are in a country basically we are in a country where we don't really wake up in the morning and figuring it out that I know we need a better toilet, right? Maybe
Right.
aesthetically, yes, whether you want it directly flush or whether you want it swirling around and going down, that kind of stuff. But what actually inspired you to explore even into this business? It's not sexy. It's not
Yeah.
something that not a
Um,
good dining table reunion dinner talk. So how that
every time I
happened?
give a talk, I will ask them, are you done with your food, your lunch or meal, whatever? So that because I'm going to talk something shitty, like it's a shit talk. But yes, we do give a shit about the shit, in other words. Um, why I'm inspired and then what makes me start this business was actually I was already involved in green activities. Even when I was small, I love nature. I love nature so much. I spend most of my time outdoor than indoor. I was just lucky to pass my exam and study abroad. But actually, my heart is in the green somewhere, right? When I started climbing, well, I started climbing late. I started climbing at the age of 35. When I started climbing in the mountains, and I realized um, I it's not easy for women to do the business. Men can just do anywhere, but the women, we face challenge. And when we found the toilet in the Everest base camp, the last base camp is considered the last toilet that we can find, or pit latrine they call it, right? So there was one pit latrine there, and it was so smelly, and there's mountain of shit in the range of the mountains, you know. So I was like, man, can't you have a proper toilet here somewhere, you know? And because of that, a lot of other things also are polluted. The river, everything. I've seen everything myself from 6,000 meter above the ground, above the sea level, down to the foot of the hill. You know, it's totally from blue water to totally brown water, and the toilet is still the same. You know, like from pit latrine to even the flushing toilet, they're all creating a lot of waste everywhere and pollution everywhere. So when I started all the green activities in Malaysia, I was involved with the green, together with Matthias, the green man. We were doing a lot of green activities such as tree planting, you know, plastic, what do you call it, cleanup and things like that. We planted like 10,000 trees, even in Bukit Taga. You know, we led the team. We led a lot of CSR companies to plant the trees simply for the, you know, to get more oxygen. But then one day, I was emceeing a Swedish business talk, and there was this guy that I met who started with this business, so-called sustainable toilet. I said, what is this guy talking about? You know, like, what's wrong with the toilets, you know? And then I started to do my research on toilets. That's where I found that 2.5 billion people had no access to proper toilet and hygiene. And not only that, it has killed so many children because of the contamination that comes from the well or the water source that is basically next to the toilets, right? So then I said, well, hang on, I didn't know all this, and it's all related to climate change. It's all related to environmental pollution. It's related to health. You know, it's everything. It's about water, health, about, you know. So I was like fascinated, and I continued my research until then my business partner now, which is who is Mr. Imad Agi, who's from Sweden, invited me to work closely on this project in Korea, in Busan, back in 2013. So that's where I started to learn more and more about this toilet technology, and we started to mass produce in Korea. Then I thought, language is a barrier in Korea. Language and raw materials. So a few years later, I said, wait, I think we should move this production to Malaysia. We have all the resources here. We can bring the price down because most of our customers are either NGOs or the government, or who would prefer the price to be lower and affordable, because what they're buying is not a small number, but it's huge numbers. So we moved the production in 2015 to Malaysia, and now it's almost, I would say, almost everything is produced in Malaysia. It's made in Malaysia, except for the microbes, which we kept it as our secret formula, and at the same time we kept it safe in a multi-million dollar lab, because it's microbes, it's bacterial culture that we should ensure its safety, and especially when we are taking it all over the world. So that's it. When we start our production in Malaysia, we marketed all over the world, and we have exported to 25 countries today. We are so blessed, because it wasn't easy in the beginning, because nobody cares about toilets. I mean, honestly, honestly speaking, nobody care what happened after you flush until you
Mm-hmm.
run out of water. This is where the problem starts. You know, you don't have water to flush. You don't have water, to, especially in Malaysia, when you don't have water for 3 days, people start complaining. But where is the most water used for? It's actually when you flush. When you flush at least 4 to 8 liters of water. Then sometimes you're not happy, you want to flush more, right? If the toilet quality is bad, you need to flush more than once. And how many times do you go to toilet per day? At least if you drink a lot of water, you go to toilet more often, right? So in average, you were in this line before, 260 liters per day per Malaysian, using water. That's how much
Yes.
water we used, and most of them are flushed out. And those that we flushed out are clean water. And imagine those in Jordan where we install our toilet. Um, Water is so expensive. They can't afford to pay the water bills just to flush your toilet, right? So that is where our toilet is very appreciated, especially in those sub-Saharan countries, remote areas, and those areas which where they are facing drought, especially.
Okay. Zaina, when I'm listening to you, it's really inspiring. It's like, it's sort of like while you're talking, my brain was working how to bring your kind of mindset into young Malaysians. That means when they look at something, it's like, oh, like, no, this is a mountain of poop here, and so I don't want to come here. That is one way of handling it. Another thing is mountain of poop here. What can I do about it? I'm wondering what is that about you, or the way you think that actually inspired you to do this, and if you think that such thought processes can actually be trickled down to young Malaysians.
Um,
What is that?
okay. At first, it was about environment, right?
Mhm,
Of course, I'm very into environment, but then comes the health. When we were called by United Nations uh, to provide toilets for the refugee camps, um, schools. This woke me up. There were schools in Sierra Leone uh, that did not have they didn't have any toilets at all in the school, right? So our customer is a big NGO in Canada. Called us, said, "Hey, we have raised fund to buy the toilets. We want to buy the toilets from you." So we delivered a container of toilets to Sierra Leone, and they do the installation. Our NGO players went there, traveled to Sierra Leone just to install the toilets. Um, and the best part is, as soon as we install the toilets, um, the kids were so happy. It's a girls' school, actually. The girls were so happy to have toilets at school, and they start viral it. They viral. People start taking photos and send it to other. I don't know how, but another school asked for it as well. So what happened was, after the installation, the performance and the attendance have increased by 35%.
Oh,
Just
wow.
imagine
Okay.
how happy they are when they have the toilets. It's just toilets. But imagine when you don't have toilet and you want to do your business, or you have menstrual challenge, right, at school. Can you focus in class? I asked this question even in Borneo, in Sabah. I used to give a talk there. I asked the students, as high school students, I asked the students if they have any problems with the toilet at school. One after another raised their hands to say, "Hey, I have problem." So tell me what your problem is. The teachers are all standing at the back. "Oh, our toilets have no doors. Our toilets have it's it's not functional. The flush doesn't work, and it's smelly, stinky, and blah blah blah. So our toilets have no doors." I was like, what? And I asked them, because we are very civilized. I mean we are very um, we are not like some parts of the developing countries where they just openly defecate, right? No, we will wait, we will hold our bladder and until we go home. And imagine those students, some of them are staying miles and miles away from the school. They start walking from the morning until, for a few hours to get to school, and start taking the boats, the many ways of, and imagine for how many hours you have to hold your bladder until you go home.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible to focus in class, and
Yeah.
and that's when this teacher started to reach out to me and say, can you help us? We are just running a social enterprise. We are also we started a startup, right? We was I mean we're a small company, but of course, if we work together as a team, together with the CSR companies who know how to go for sustainable CSR, this is where we can play a role to help out these people. They are just our students. Of course, we have to start from young age. We have a lot of people, youngsters, who are interested in supporting our business, but at the same time, of course, nobody wants to do this to be in this business also, because it's not glamorous. It's a toilet business, right?
Yeah.
But I realized there are also youngsters who are very passionate to make a difference through this sustainable toilet. Really, may not be from the city, probably, but most of them are from NGOs, or from those who are very concerned about the environment, those who want to achieve the SDGs. So they really see the potential business in this industry. It's $1 trillion business, I would say. There are many people who want to we can share this piece of cake with everyone, if you know how to go about it. But of course, we have to do a lot of awareness creation at the same time. Um, that's why I've given talks to quite many conferences, simply to create the awareness,
Okay.
especially
It's
among
just
the young.
that it's just that what I'm looking at when you explaining the entire scenario, it'd be good if you can share to those who are, I guess, better privileged in not having such issues, because the link is not just not having a it doesn't stop with not having a toilet, but not having a toilet flows over just now. Number one, school attendance. School attendance means you are getting education, right? Getting education means you are actually the likelihood of them elevating from poverty to a better living condition. That is one aspect of it. Another thing is when they're holding their bladder, they're not doing they don't want to go for open defecation, number one, or that is not really safe option because of the dignity issues, safety issues, sexual harassment that actually comes together with it, means that they will end up with health related issues. So have you seen such situation? I mean, probably not here, but have you seen such
Mm.
situation in the places that you have worked with? If you can share that.
Yes, uh, we have been to India many times to penetrate the business, to penetrate the market there. But of course, it's not easy in India. But the biggest challenge are there. Um, Open defecation is everywhere, not only in India, not even in Nigeria. It has to start from the government, who would come up uh, with the initiative to clean, or to stop all this open defecation. That then the rest will kick off. So in India, the government start with Swachh Bharat mission, or they want to stop all this open defecation all over India. But uh, they are also facing the challenge, because when you install toilets, even though it's cheap,
Mm-hmm.
when you install toilet that use water for flushing, again, you create more problems. right?
Mhm.
So yes, I've seen people in India facing the challenge for not having toilets, and many have suffered from cholera outbreak because they drink the water that is it's not safe to drink.
Mhm.
So you see, in even in Malaysia, say in Kelantan, most of them are using toilets, pit latrine, or they have their own septic tank, right? So what happened is next to the toilet is always the well or the pump to get the toilet. I mean, to and they complain about the water that it's not, it's smelly, it doesn't taste good, and it doesn't smell good, you know. But we all know that when you use septic tank that is not treated, over time the water, the sewage will leak through the groundwater, and in the end, that's the water that you drink. In Africa, the WHO had banned some of the countries, the rural areas, from drinking the water totally, even though they boil the water. It's not safe anymore.
Mhm.
So they 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 are suffering because of the water that is contaminated. So
Mm.
same thing with Malaysia. But this, the thing about this sort of problem issues, it's not highlighted. It's always, you know, behind the behind the scene. So I got to know about these problems when people start contacting me and ask me, can we apply this toilet in the rural areas? Because like in Kelantan, for example, I was born in Kelantan, brought up in Kelantan. I'm originally from Perak, but in Kelantan, yes, from I was small, I know we have water problem, and we face flood every time. Imagine when it's flooding, what surface is from the sewage or the septic
Mhm.
tank, God knows. Although the population, a small population are using the sewage treatment plant, have access to sewage treatment plant, but majority are still having their own well
Mhm.
and their own septic tank, and no facilities to in Kelantan that could manage the septic tank. You know,
Mhm.
they can't afford to provide the service to do the suction or even to help out. But we have the microbes that could clear the water, you know, and you know, help solve the problem. So that's how I know about it, and people start to get concerned about the future generation that is going to suffer if we don't do anything about it.
I just want to pick up a couple of comments here. The first one is by Sarah. She said, "Holding bladder may cause future weakening of bladder muscles." I guess this is the reason why women face a lot of problem is because they just can't do like how man does it. You know, openly
Yes.
just first number one or number two. So this is one key problem that we have. Specifically talking about E. coli, because you're talking about microbes being put into the toilet and getting it treated, right? So then in the video we can see it becomes a liquid fertilizer that can be used.
Yes.
Uh, is this how it's being used in places that you have gone to, or do they just dispose it? Like
Mm,
you have talked about in a couple of places in Africa, in Sierra Leone,
mm.
in Jordan, do they
Yeah.
use it for fertilizer purposes, or what
They
they do with
use.
it?
They do.
Okay.
In Kenya, I give you an example. Well, we actually do not know how good our fertilizer is, right? We did the test, the analysis in 5 countries. I mean, they did their own analysis and sent us the report to show the nutrients that they got from the fertilizer and so forth. But in Kenya, our associate did apply on their own garden, right? And they were daring enough to apply on the vegetable garden, and they even shared their experience with us. The taste
Mhm.
is amazing. amazing. It's so good. You can tell the difference straight away because they also use the chemical fertilizer on the vegetable farm. So they did the comparison and they were so happy with the results. And then the news started to travel. And suddenly this nursery farm asked for the fertilizer. We gave it for free in the beginning because we know there's value in it, but we gave it for free to try out. So this nursery applied on the farm, right, on the orchid farm, I think. So then the next batch we wanted to give to another farm, and this guy came back and said, no, we want the fertilizer. I said, they were fighting over the fertilizer because
Okay.
because they actually saw the result and they love it, So they were like, oh, I said, then we said, wow, this is, this is interesting. It's a money making machine. Our toilet is a money making machine because instead of, using the expensive chemical fertilizer, you got this for free, But if you know how to apply it and if you do it properly, we can create business out of the fertilizer itself. I'm not talking about big business, but actually it does help the small farmers, for example, by so that they can use the fertilizer for free instead of buying the fertilizer.
I'm so sorry about the interruption. So please go ahead. That is my rooster.
That's okay. It happens. So they start to appreciate the fertilizer, and they continue to apply as and when they get it. I mean, they get full, get enough fertilizer to when they after using the toilet. So
Before,
even in Jordan also, sorry, in Jordan, we installed our toilets at the heritage sites for UNDP. Why? Because at that time we actually went for another meeting. It's another meeting held by Business Sweden. Then there was also a meeting to supply for United Nations refugee camps. So these people, the one who managed the heritage sites, the Petra heritage sites, came to us and asked if we can supply the toilets for them because they couldn't find the solution for their problems because they received yellow card. The World Heritage Site in Petra, Jordan, received the yellow card because of the non-sustainability that happens around the heritage sites. They simply because they do not have toilets in the heritage sites. People start doing business everywhere, so the place become smelly. Petra is like hilly area. I mean, it's mountainous, it's rocky, and people create buildings around 2,000 years ago and turn it into a town, a city, or whatever. So people, like, they receive tourists, like millions of tourists every year. So as the some time back, suddenly the number of tourism dropped because the lack of the toilet issues. So
okay.
because the place is so huge that and the visitors are mostly 40 years old and above, people cannot hold the bladder for too long, and they only have toilets at the entrance of the Petra itself. I mean, you pay for the admission, and then you start to walk in. Either you take the camel, or you walk, or you take the donkeys to go into the mountainous areas. It's a beautiful place. So they face the challenge. So they say, can we buy your toilets? So we didn't go through any tender. We just got the job. Okay, we deliver the toilet, we install the toilet, we had fun. We had to install in the desert, in the mountain. We fix it within 1 hour. We fix everything ready, and until the last two 4 units, they say we do it tomorrow. I said, why not we do it today? We can get it done by today. No, 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 tomorrow. I said, okay, we'll do it tomorrow. And then they start taking the base up to 1,200 steps above the ground. It's on top of that mountain. There's a monastery, so-called monastery architecture. I mean, old building, where they fix the toilet there. So we had to really climb up to 1,200 steps up just to install the toilets. So it's if you were to install, I can see why they say there's no solution, because you first of all, in this kind of places, in heritage sites, you cannot dig a hole or pit to do pit latrine. You are forbidden to do that. So if they put a normal plastic portable toilet, then you have to do the suction. How to do the suction when it's on top of 1,200 steps up above the ground? It's impossible, right? Even the truck cannot pass through the cave, the narrow lane. If you should go there. It's beautiful. So it's impossible for the truck to go inside there. So when we got the toilet there, 200 people queue up for the toilet, and the number of tourism increased again, back to 1 million over. I mean, of course, it's before COVID. They were so happy that they put up in the Jordan Times about how they solve the biodiversity conservation, issues, and they are proud of it. And that's how. Not long after that, we received invitation by United Nations Foundation to New York to actually present our solution to the key leaders there, because they received so many compliments about our toilet, and people who have used it, I've met even the secretary. No, he's a friend to the president of Guatemala. He said, I've tried your toilet. I met in Guatemala, but he has used the toilet in Petra, Jordan. And he said, I've experienced, and I have experienced it, and I enjoyed it, because there is no smell. There is no bad smell all the time. You just imagine.
I guess that must be also the introduction of that microbe must have, reduce the
Yes.
odor issues.
Correct. And also our ventilation system, everything, the whole system is the whole system that bring out the smell, that actually kill the smell and exit the smell elsewhere. So that is why there's no smell all the time, and also the microbe itself terminate the bad odor. So the hotter the climate is, the more effective, the more efficient our microbes become, and they really they really work efficiently in a team until the poop is gone. So that's when we receive awards after awards, as they say, success breeds success. So we receive awards from United Nations Foundation back then, being the top global innovator out of 700 applicants. And recently we received another award by United Nations WTO, World Tourism Organization, for being one of the winners. They have 14 SDG winners. So we win in the category of SDG number 6, which is clean water and sanitation. So we beat 10,000 applicants. there were 10,000 applicants for the competition, and we won the competition. So they flew us to Spain 2 months ago to again to present to the key leaders out there. And what they want to do is they want to convert tourism into sustainable tourism using all these winners' innovations. And that includes our toilet. So hopefully with this toilets, and of course we have many R&D more to go for, and to improve the design, everything, and hopefully we will be able to be wherever the tourism spots are, hopefully one day.
Yeah, I hold that thought because I actually want to have a chat about the challenging part, the challenge in relation to driving technology such as Ecolu, where it just like cuts off even before the septic tank or pit latrines being attached to the toilet, because it's always talking about containment. Then you have septic tank or pit latrines. Then we have either sewers or treatment plants and all those things. But in this case, we are having a technology that just stops everything, ends with the toilet. But before we go to that conversation, in a bit, we want to bring up Mr. Dore because he have a couple of questions and he also have view when come to such technology, because he's very passionate about it. He have worked with a couple of international agencies and driving towards pushing such technology as yours to work in complement with the conventional connected services that is being used in the sector. But before that, I would like to raise, there's a question here from Raja. And what he says is, he's asking whether the technology that like Ecolu, is it meant to be deployed as a temporary arrangement or it can work permanently, or both?
Okay, thank you. Um, it can be permanent, it can be temporary. Depends on what the requirements are. For example, as I mentioned before, in Sierra Leone, looks like it's going to be permanent, right? But in Malaysia, we do face some challenge, which we can talk about it later, where for the time being, as I understood, we can anytime deploy our toilet as long as it's temporary. It doesn't matter. Temporary can be 1 year, can be 2 years, as long as it's temporary. If it's going to be permanent, then of course, then we have to comply whatever the requirement is. But I would say it can be permanent, it can be temporary. It can be permanent in situations like in where the toilet is permanently installed. It can be cemented, it can be permanent, right? I would say it can be portable also, or temporary, because you can anytime move the toilet elsewhere when you're done. That is why we are actually trying to at least penetrate the portable toilet market in Malaysia, starting from Malaysia, of course, because what you're having now is only non-sustainable plastic toilet that is smelly and crooked. Like I would say crooked because it's not stable at all, right? So
Yeah.
uh, and
So I think,
they are made in China, they're made of plastic. So why not we use our toilet that is made of FRP that can last for many, many decades? It's easy to maintain. You just put the microbes and it works for you. You just collect your fertilizer, or you can dispose the fertilizer if you don't want it. And that's it. You don't need to go and get the truck to do the suction, and all this. People who actually bought this toilet, they have problem with getting the appointment with the IWK to get the suction done. According to them, when after the events is over, they face problem after that, because you don't get the truck to come and do the suction immediately. You have to go by the schedule, right? Sometimes 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks. And I've seen some municipality in Malaysia, in Borneo, who actually disposed the whole thing into the drain because they couldn't wait for these people to come and do the suction. I saw with my own eyes. they tilt the toilet, right, and they just use the water to do goes everything goes into. And I
I think
understand why the river is not so clean, not so clear.
I think when we're talking about, like just now the question from Raja, right? So it's not just the temporary is deployed. I mean, the solution is a permanent or temporary solution. It is also can be fixed and mobile. So it's actually like
Yeah.
a lot of mix in that sense. But there's one more comment before we go into Mr. Dore. Sarul actually made a very specific. She raised a very specific uh, aspect of these issues in Kelantan, because you did declare you're from Kelantan and the challenges in Kelantan. So what she says here is, Peramai Malaysia performs underground water testing, and we came across many wells located within 1 meter radius in Gunung and Pasir Puteh. They have found E. coli in most of the wells, and the whole family consumed the same water after boiling for years. They are healthy, according to the head of family. Did Ecolu approach Air Kelantan before with this particular technology? I guess this is especially for areas which are outskirts. This is not part of the Kota Baru area.
Yeah, it's outskirt. I was approached by Majari, Kelantan. Many times he came to reach out to me, but they also faced with the federal about the funding, about this and that. So they really wanted to use the microbe actually for the rural communities. But again, I know in Malaysia it's not easy to deal with the local authority. There's conflict of interest or something like that. It's a sensitive issue. I will not mention it. It's just that if it's actually applicable everywhere for as long as we get the approval. I don't face this problem in any other countries, to be honest. They just love it and they just go for it, no questions. Even in India, I tell you, we were invited to present our solutions among I think there were like 30, 50 selected innovations that have gone to that level, where the municipality themselves were organizing the event. At the end of the event, the guy stood up and they gave a closing speech, closing remark to say that just stop all this pilot project, just get these products into your procurement and just use it. Just go for it. No more pilot project. Enough of pilot projects, because it's proven functioning. They turn all the septic tank into gardens. They showed they have proven already. So why do you want to waste your time on pilot projects? So I'm not saying that our toilet is for every single occasion or every single let's say urban sanitation. I will not meddle into I will not go into the condominium or flat to install my toilets. It doesn't make sense. But let's say public toilets, for example. Why don't we have public eco-friendly public toilets? Why don't we have eco-friendly portable toilets? We are trying to install in a national park in Penang. Our customers are running scout camp there. They have issues because there's no. They used to have public toilet, but public toilet now is no longer usable. It's either the whole toilet is clogged with sand because it's close to the beach, right? So it's sandy, and therefore it clogged the entire toilet, and the whole toilet had to be shut down. So and it's far away from the sewage, from the pipe of the sewage STP pipe. So when I check with IWK, they say anything that is more than 30 meters away from the pipe is yours. May not means ours. It's just that please go ahead, because no way you can get a truck to go into the national park and do the suction. So but then again, we have to make sure that we get approval from SPAN, for example. Uh, this is where the challenge comes in because we are
Okay,
new innovation.
hold that thought,
Mm,
Zarina, because there are questions related to authority. So maybe
okay.
we take it up after this. So before that, let us go to Mr. Dore. So, Mr. Dore.
Yeah, thank you. I've been listening to this. It's so inspiring, and like to a person like me who has been in this industry for a lot of time, quite a long time, to find an entrepreneur in Malaysia who's come up with this, and it's so successful in so many other countries. That's really amazing, so I have many questions that's coming up in my mind, but I want to ask two particular things. One is, now, we can consider this as a solution for unique spots like a mountain top
Correct.
or a historical site, where other things cannot be done. You cannot excavate; it's too high up and things like that. But I'm also thinking that we need to also expand the application to something that is more conventional, because what we have been always looking at in master plans which were modeled on Western countries, is always a sewerage system. A sewerage system works on the principle of a lot of water, a lot of energy. You mix everything, and then you convey it for 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers away, and then you separate it again. So it's a really not a very good way, but that's what is being promoted to us through master plans, and we've got that, rightly or wrongly. But if there is an alternative, and we know that in the future there is going to be a water and energy crunch that will hit all of us. We cannot. No country can be safe from this. You will hit this, and if you can do things in a much more efficient way in terms of your water footprint and energy footprint, that will definitely make the country more competitive. So I'm thinking, how can your toilets be used to in more conventional applications, right? Where a septic tank would have been used, for example, or even where a sewer might have been used. So is there a possibility? I understand the regulations, which are quite restrictive, because
Mm.
generally the regulations tend to be it's like, this is what the book says, so you follow, kind of a thing. But how can we promote it? That's my first question. The second one, as an engineer, I'm always curious about how things work, right? So I'm trying to imagine how this thing looks like. I could see from your video that it's got a module which looks like a toilet bowl. Then what else do you have? Do you have a tank where it's contained for a moment for some period of time? And when you add this thing, what actually happens inside? And how do you take the water out of that for your purpose of using as a fertilizer and things like that? How convenient is it? If it is so inconvenient that people find it difficult to do, then you might find that that's a deterrent, right? So,
Mm.
has it been made in such a way that is user friendly, especially for the use and for this? And also, as an engineer, we know that things don't disappear, So, there's here you are telling me that after you do your business and you add this thing inside, everything disappears, So, we want to know what happens to it. What
Okay.
actually is the end product, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's good question. Um, right. First question is how can we go about it conventionally, right? Okay. Our toilets, um, it can be installed indoor and outdoor. We also have microbes. We have microbes to treat the, or what do you call it, bacteria culture to treat the waste, black water, gray water, even petroleum or greasy water, food waste, animal waste, aqua waste. We have a range of products other than just the toilet itself, right? So if you have a septic tank at home, you can still treat using the microbes, our bacteria culture. You just take it, mix it, pour it, you flush it as usual. So it goes into the septic tank, it will treat the septic tank, right? That's one option. So another option is to cover up your toilet and put our toilet on top of it. So we did that in some places where they are tired of the squatting toilet, flushing squatting toilet, and they decided to turn it into green toilet. So we just put our toilet on top of the squatting toilet, and that's it. Okay. And as for the STP, I would say that is why I would say it's not for every toilet. For example, when I first met Puan Punita, she said, "You don't kacau the urban sanitation." Right? So I said, okay. So yeah, that's where our market is, out of the urban sanitation. But in urban area itself, we can always install in schools, for example, right? Schools, most of the toilets in schools are not functioning well. They are either no one flush in the first place. So even when I was small, I never do my business at school because I don't find it convenient. I don't find it comfortable. It's smelly. Nobody flush. And why not you use this toilet that you don't need to flush at all? So it's actually it's a matter of habit. But if you create awareness from school, then they will probably realize, hey, we don't need so much water to flush, or you didn't need water to flush at all. So it has to the habit has to be cultivated from young. So we have installed this at as small as academy in Malaysia, up to floating houses in the Kenyer Lake, for example. Because why? Because they discover E. coli everywhere, and the main activities there is fishing. So imagine you fish the fish and you grill the fish, and the fish eat the waste because most of the toilet there is a hole, and just boom, goes into the lake, the closest to your fishing fishing rod. So so there are many ways to handle the situation. Sometimes people say, "Oh, you kill IWK business." No, we can complement each other, right? There are places where they cannot manage. In islands, there are many people in the islands are not happy because they start dumping everything in the sea, and even the pollution can come from the septic tank into the sea. When we were broadcast by CNN worldwide, we received hundreds of emails from people who are not happy with the existing system. I give you one example: Maldives. This guy is a vendor to the government. He said, can we take you to Maldives to present to the government? Because all the time they've been dumping the raw sewage into the sea. When I went there a few years ago, I'm a diver, but I decided just to snorkel because there's nothing to see, because there's no actually diving spot anymore in Maldives. So they took me to one of the dive spots, and as I snorkeled, I saw nothing. It's all totally white on the ground. you know, yes, it looks nice from the top, you know, from the heli, from the top view, is like, wow, you know, it's blue sea, but there's nothing, no corals, nothing. So I asked the guys, what happened here? It's not so much of the climate change. I mean, not so much of the weather. But when this guy wrote me this email to ask me to present to the government, then I understand, because thousands of tons of raw sewage dumped into the sea because they don't know what to do with it. So if they have this kind of toilets in the islands, then hopefully it will bring the nature back into its place. Okay, secondly, the technical system is it's a two-tier chamber. The top is where the solids stay, and the bottom is where the liquid is. When you do your business, it's like you are sitting on a normal toilet bowl, right? It's just that for the we have indoor and outdoor toilet, as I mentioned earlier. So the indoor type is a simple bowl. You can still use water for washing. It's just that you don't need water for flushing, right? So you can still use hand bidet to wash, no problem. So it's just like some toilet in the kampong where you just use water, you put in a bucket and wash it, right? So of course, that also, when we hand over, we always educate people, try not to use so much water when you wash. In Sweden, there's already the technology where they can, where you just install a small gadget at the end of the pipe, where the water will all sprinkle all over. It's like mist, but you get the entire surface with water, which is very water saving. So we can use hand bidet to wash as usual, and all the waste will go into the first compartment, the bottom compartment, and then we can apply the microbe. We only apply once a month, or sometimes once in 3 months, depending on the usage. So once you do your business as usual, no matter how much poop you have down there, you just apply once. Our microbes or bacterial culture is like powder form. You just mix with warm water, you just shake it and just pour inside, and it's you activate it already, and it's done. You leave it inside there, and they will work 24 hours for 3 to 4 days. Then the waste will become ashes or is gone. Anything that's edible, tissues, anything, as long as it's not plastic or cloth and things like that, then it's edible. Then it will reduce over time, right? Over a few days, it's gone. We used to have like 7 to 8 days to turn into the solid into ashes. But as we improve our combination, now it takes about 3 to 4 days, and soon hopefully we can do it within 24 hours. So within 3 to 4 days, everything will become ashes. Or you can see the old one is gone, then the new one is there. I even had photos where before and after, means before they developed in Western countries, they use tissues a lot. So you can see the picture with the tissues mixed with the poops and all that. Then the after a few days, you can see the picture with white tissues, mean new tissues, all the rest are gone. And the liquid that you use will be going through the process, nitrification process, and be converted into fertilizer, and it will go down below into the second compartment. Now, second compartment, the outdoor toilet is huge. It's about 450 liters capacity, huge, and the liquid is around 250 liters. The good thing is you can always have a pipe to drain it out, or some people they just pump the fertilizer through the hole and use it somewhere. So you have two options, but even it will never be like full, because we have a hole, the outlet flow, a hole for the rest to to come out, and whatever is overflowing will go through that particular hole. So will not go, will not fill up until to the top chamber. It will not happen that way. So, and also when the temperature is hot, what happen is all the water and the urine will stay, the water will evaporate. So what's left is a solid urine, or what we call it, nitrate and nitrate, that is already ready to use fertilizer, and it's salty, so salty that no bacteria can survive in such environment. So that is why it's easy for us to look after the rest, or the liquid fertilizer, because all we need to do is just sterile it. You can put under the sun for a few days, and it will sterile by itself, or we can go through more sterilizing process. It depends on what your customer wants. Some you can, or you can just dispose it into the whatever septic tank pipe, or you can collect. Most of our customers, they do collect, for them to use at the farm. So it's a very simple mechanism. As for the outdoor, I forgot to mention, for the outdoor toilet, the bowl is actually a chute. It's just a bowl, but it's just the rim, right? Under the rim is actually the waste cover. So when you sit, the waste cover will open. When you stand up, the waste cover will close. So you will not be able to see directly what's underneath you. So that's our simple mechanism, where you can just plug it anywhere. You don't need energy, electricity, and whatnot to make it function. So that is why they are happy. Most of our clients are happy because most of the toilets are installed in hot areas, in dry areas, in hilly places, or on the sea, on the lake. For the last how many years? Then 9 years. We have not received any complaints, or major complaints so far. We have even deployed in Chile. Our customers were so happy because they installed on the beach, and they started to be recognized by the government, and they won award for being creative, because they just bought our base, the toilet base, the reactor, but they do the cover themselves. They use all the used planks, the recycled wooden planks, and turn it into such a funky toilets, and colorful, and people are attracted to the toilets. So yeah, we actually allow our customers to be more creative in that sense, and so they are happy because they also win a lot of awards because of their because it's green, and it's eco-friendly, and it's also innovative.
I think I just want to bring up a couple of questions that have been raised, which Zuraina did answer during this explanation. Yuan Ji Mok actually asked, in that case, will the toilet paper be decomposed as well? So I guess, Yuan Ji, you had your answer. Yes, it can. And then there's another viewer, Yan Song said, as it's a waterless toilet, is there any pathogenic risk for maintenance of Ecolu? So I think that is not answered. But the second statement by Ian Song is, I wonder how the user clean themselves or wash their hands as Ecolu is waterless. I think that has been responded, yes, Raina? You have to use
Correct.
as little water as possible. So if we try to use like how we are using right now, just spraying, playing with the bidet, hand bidet, while we are looking at our phone, Facebook videos or whatever, not, I guess this is not the right toilet or right application. But I think the first question is probably something that you want to take on. Is there any pathogenic risk?
As I said, because our microbe, one thing, they eat it up, they break down everything into particles, and it goes down, all the liquid will go down into the bottom chamber, and because of the weather, especially in our weather, hot climate, for example, and the energy that is created by the process, during the process, the entire, what comes out is actually just the urine and water. So water will evaporate. What's left is actually the salty urine that is actually already processed, which we won't call it urine because it's already nitrate and nitrate, because of we have an organic material inside there to do the nitrification process. So as it converts, it will convert everything into nitrate and nitrate, and that's what's left, the remnants that's left in the bottom chamber. So no bacteria can survive in this salty environment. We have done analysis in Germany, in India, Kenya, Korea, all the universities, and Sweden, of course, which give a result that is acceptable. I mean, of course, again, we will tell our people, that our customers, that how they're going to take care of the so-called fertilizer. Either they keep it, or they want to dispose it, right? So, but as far as the bowl itself, the microbe itself, we have the right combination of bacterial culture that is safe for human. Otherwise, we won't be able to export into 25 countries as of today, because we have to declare, I mean, what kind of bacterial culture that we are sending over, right? So we are very careful with our bacteria, because it's a sensitive product, but at the same time we ensure that it's safety, even for human. So therefore, that is why we are okay until today. We are accepted in many countries, including United Nations, who bought our toilets.
Okay.
I hope
There's a
I have
question by
answered.
Dinesh. Yes, thanks. Thanks, Raina. There's one question from Dinesh. I mean, would you like to take that? What's the dosage and cost of these microbes in an operation environment, since it's proprietary?
Dosage and cost of these microbes. Okay, whoever buy the toilets, it comes with microbes for a 1-year supply. You see, the microbes will mutate as soon as they found their food, so-called food. They will mutate in billion colonies. Okay, the 20-gram dosage is already having billions of colonies. I have the number, but I don't have it now. And as soon as they land on the human waste or whatever that is edible, they start to mutate into billion colonies. Of course, you cannot see with your own eyes, but you can see the result after that. So we only need 20 grams, and mixed with 1 liter of lukewarm water. That's enough to sustain, because every time you put you drop your poop inside there, it will continue to mutate. When you stop doing your business, the microbes will form into shell and hibernate, right? So until the next poop comes in. So that's why we have our first toilet was installed actually in Sweden, in actually minus 30 degrees Celsius. You know, it's really cold during the winter. But during the winter, they will hibernate anyway, if the toilet is used during the winter, then we have first of all, our reactor itself is insulated. So in colder countries, we also installed in Mongolia. It functions well, but we have a special kind of heater installed
Mm-hmm.
next to inside the toilet, in order to warm the reactor so that our microbes will adapt to the temperature and function well. So it depends on the climate where you are staying, where you deploy the toilet, and when when uh, you can just, okay, let's say you are busy for the whole month, you have no time to add on the microbe. It's okay, because the microbe will continue to mutate anyway, right? What we are concerned is why we advise our clients to install once a month is because sometimes there are people who accidentally or purposely put the chemical detergent that could kill our workers, our bacteria culture. But even so, our toilet comes with a spreader where you just need to use the spreader like a flash. It's like a handle where you just turn the handle, and it will spread the waste across. So, meaning, even if they throw the detergent right in the middle there, probably those microbes in that center will die, but the rest are still around, you know. So we normally advise the customer when we install for them, or when they install themselves, there will be a short training, the do's and the don'ts, for them to understand how to use the system.
Yeah,
So
and there is three questions in relation to regulatory and authority. But before that, Mr. Dore, if we can have you back on the screen, we would like to hear from you. There are a couple of things that you wanted to raise, and then probably we can take all the three questions in relation to regulatory and control. It's not really, I would say, a question to you specifically, but something that maybe we can ponder a bit. So, Mr. Dore, to you.
Yeah, sorry to dominate dominate this discussion, but I was just
No,
wondering.
no.
No, yeah, I'm so curious because it's something that's really unique, and I feel it's got a potential. No, I saw that your toilet comes with a 1 year supply of microbes and all that. So that looks like your deal is like you don't just sell the toilet and walk away, but
no.
you really offer operation and maintenance of the toilet, right?
Mm,
So now,
mm,
is there an option for someone who might want to take the toilet and run it on their own? I mean, operate on their own. Of course, they would require the microbes to be, supplied by you, I guess. Uh, so, will that be possible? And secondly, I think the risk that somebody might think of is, okay, I got this from you, and maybe 1 year down the line, the thing becomes unavailable, the microbes become unavailable, then does my toilet becomes unusable? That's one. Or maybe the company starts raising prices. I mean, this might be a risk that somebody is thinking of. Okay, today
mm.
you offer at 10 ringgit or whatever per packet, and then suddenly it becomes 100 ringgit uh, once I start operating it. So how would you address this?
Mm, can I get back to the first question just now? I think
Yeah.
the answer is possible, but I need to remember the question. Um, can you repeat the first question,
Yeah.
please?
No, the first question was whether your business model is uh, you can actually just sell the toilet and let other people, or
Okay, yeah,
the operators,
right.
the owners operate it.
Places like Sierra Leone, we cannot afford to go and do the maintenance there, right? The caretaker of the Sierra Leone project, for example, is in Canada. There's an NGO who has done twice, actually. They have done two schools, and they want to do more schools in the rural areas, in fact. So they are the caretakers. We give our microbes to the caretaker to handle the microbes. Whether they're going to give it to the principal of the school, or the maintenance or keepers of the school, it's up to them. Um, but everything has to go with go by our SOP. We have operation and maintenance manual for them to follow through. In places where it's reachable, or if they want us to maintain, for example, United Nations, if they want us to maintain, they will pay extra maintenance services for us to take care of it. Then we will take care of it ourselves. But actually, it's not. It's quite easy to handle because it's like you're using the yeast. You activate it and you pour it inside. And sometimes, like I said, even if you forget to put it or you don't put it after some time, it's still functioning well, as long as we provide food for the bacterial culture, which is our waste, right? So as long as you dump the food inside and you make sure it's humid, you pour some water probably inside there, they'll be happy, right? So we encourage people to put some water once in a while. But the one in Sweden has been running for 10 years. There is no no problem at all, and no repeated order for the microbes even. They only use during summer for 3 months or 4 months because it was installed next to the lake by the municipality, and they use the fertilizer for their garden. But otherwise, they are happy with that because the lake water is actually drinkable, and the people there can actually drink the water from the lake. That's why they are very particular. They do not want any toilet that can contaminate the water underground. So I would say that's why people love our toilet, because it's so easy to maintain. It doesn't cost much. It's probably $60 per year, or 200 something, 300 US ringgit per year. But actually, as I said, it can, work by itself. It will mutate by itself. But we just want to make sure that they put once a month or once in 2 months, just to make sure that nobody dump any chemical detergent inside that could kill our bacteria itself. I mean, the bacteria inside the toilets. And as for the bacterial culture itself, I've been in this business for the last 7, 8 years now, and of course, I'm doing my best to grow this business. And there's so many people who offer to become our distributors. So it's impossible to establish a company and leave the distributors behind. Although my business partner is from Sweden, he's very passionate about this toilet. He can sleep in the toilet, honestly. That's how passionate he is. Our distributing agent, our sort of partner in Kenya, they even have magazines in the toilet. Really, they really sit. They find ideas when they were sitting in the toilet. So I don't know. There's something about this eco-loo that people become crazy, And every time we do exhibition, our booth is always full of people. There were these guys in front of us. They are running their own booth. They help people come over to our booth, we create fun, because nobody wants to talk about toilet. What more to sit on the toilet? But we managed to do that with our toilets. Our job is to make it fun, make it easy to understand, easy to use, and you have even steps next to the toilet so that you can put your feet on it so that you feel like squatting. So you don't pressure your knees, but you can pressure your butt. but you sit as if you are squatting. So that's, for older people or for people who are putting on weight, we find problem when you're squatting. So there you are. You have the steps for you to put on. We try to make it as ergonomical as possible for people to use, easy to use. There are so many competitors. We have like 120 competitors in the world. This was mentioned by the guy who chose us to be the winners in United Nations, New York. They even asked me, do you know how many competitors? I said, I don't know. I know there are many. But they said, you have like 120 competitors. I said, okay. but yours is the best so far. We have studied about the rest. I think I can relate because I give you an example. There are also urine diversion, ecosan, right? Poop goes here, pee goes here, and there are people who's creative enough. They sit the other way around. They poo here, they pee here. Disaster. We have seen that.
Actually,
So
when I look at that, Zarina, actually, there's, I mean, I really wish we had a video of snippets of the accolades that you have won. I would like to play here, but unfortunately, we don't
yeah, I should
didn't
have
get
given
that.
you the yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay. The thing is, actually, we already exceeded the conversation from 1 hour. It's now about 1.5 hours. So there are a
Oh
couple of
wow,
questions that we couldn't
my
respond.
apologies.
Mr. Dore, please stay online because there is one important question that we must answer. The rest probably we can get the responses. For those who have put a question here, we are unable to respond. We will try to get response from Zuraina and put it in the comment section for both Facebook and YouTube. So there are a couple of questions here that have been raised. I'm going to bring all the three questions up at the one after the other in relation to control, regulatory, and authority perspective. First, we have from Raja. He said, how do you foresee the regulatory system and guidelines will accept these in Malaysia as a permanent arrangement? Okay, that is from Raja. The next one is from Philips. And what Philip Raju is telling is which authority or agency approves the usage of eco toilets or toilets as per se in Malaysia. And the last one, in a similar context, we have from Dinesh. Regulators like SPAN are not big fans of proprietary component like microbes in systems. How do you plan to handle this in the Malaysian environment? So I'm just picking up all these three questions at the same time, and it's not really something that to say you need to respond, but I thought we can have like a very short 5-6 minutes conversation because I think this is very important, need to be discussed, and there should be a platform that recognizes such technology and solutions so that it can coexist with the conventional technologies that we have. Otherwise, we will be left. I don't know, Mr. Dodo, what do you think? We have Suraina here from Malaysia, supplying all over the world, and it's not being used here. Is like or not being recognized at all as any part of solution for any communities in the country. I think something need to be done in that context. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I think that was actually the basis why I asked that earlier question, that how can you make it more mainstream, So of course the regulators and powers that be, they tend to be fixed in their mind of this is how we have done it for years and this is how we'll continue to do it. But I think there's a lot of things which are changing, in the world. Like for example, water use. Uh, the waterborne systems that we are using in our cities are very water intensive, and they're also very energy intensive because this sewage is conveyed and taken away and all that. And if you look at the Bill Gates Foundation's toilet challenge, that was one of the things that they said, let's see whether we can solve this at source. This is a problem that is being created by human excreta, and we are now adding gray water, and we're adding so many things, some more water, and then conveying it for 20 kilometers away and then separating and trying to treat it. Can't we do it more efficiently on the site? And your system seems to be doing exactly that. Of course there are some reservations and all that, but that is why I think this must be seriously considered by the regulators as an alternative. And what is preventing them? So that conversation must be pushed, you see. And that is why I asked you, and whether of course I know that, I mean, you as a company, you have so much of a market, and maybe you feel it's not so worthwhile to go and break your head against the local regulators here and things like that. But I think this is something that must be tried for the good of our country also, right? Because I
True.
feel when you have an on off site off the grid system, which is very less water intensive and very less what you call energy intensive, and there's a reuse component as well. I think this is something like it makes up an ideal kind of a system, in a way. I mean, on the surface of it, So how can we convince the regulators? That I think is a challenge that your company might want to take up.
Thank you for that question. I wish the regulators who are my audience. Anyway, first I would say the answer is apa tu? PPP, patient, perseverance, um,
And persistence, is it?
persistent. There's another word for the PP. Sabar lah, sabar, and keep approaching them and keep praying that they will change their mind one day. I feel ashamed because we are already on we are
Oh God.
we,
Okay, we have
we
to
are
keep
already
praying. That is
we
the
are
third P,
already on
Zuraina.
CNN, okay? We are already on CNN ni, and yet I pergi sana, senior director cakap, sorry to say, they send a letter to say your product is rejected. I baru nak submit to nak masuk dalam sistem yang under innovation lah, new innovation, rejected. Our client in Penang nak 100 toilet. They know they cannot install the normal toilet because they are far away from STP. They cannot install because it's a national park. They want to do glamping chalets, not chalets, glamping sites lah for camp for the scout camp. It's a scout camp for them to handle jamboree, is it? Yang every year they have that gathering,
Yes.
the big gathering, thousands of people. Saya kata mana dia orang ni nak buang, So they already had previous toilet, as I mentioned. I went together with Kementerian Tourism, together with them to see. Can you see the toilets? They all are shut down. Can we? So they want to demolish this one and remove it and change into Ecolu lah. But then I have to get the approval from the authority. I have to get approval from SPAN. And same thing with our client who have got all the approval from all the jabatan to build the scout camp. And yet we got rejected. So how? Unless there are any other solutions which they cannot find. So they ask, so we submit our application, we submit everything to SPAN. And at the end of the day, the sewage department was asking me the same question, like Mr. Dora's question. What will happen to the bacteria, right? Will it be there forever? What about the price and etc. 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 I think we already have investors who have approached us, who are willing to invest. If you want to culture the bacteria, it's possible. It's possible, but how serious are we to culture the bacteria? Of course, if we have all the money to establish the big, bacteria plant, of course, bacteria lab, of course you can do that. But I cannot just leave it to UPM to do the research and this like that. Even they want to be a part of it and make some profit out of it. That is our future plan, to culture the bacteria in Malaysia one day. But it all depends on the market. How huge is our market, right? So far, we are gaining more and more. Even during the COVID crisis, we receive orders from United Nations in Somalia for the refugee camps, for the IDP. In Mali, they have issues, so many people have issues, and during disaster, they need toilets. But the portable toilets doesn't help in such situation, the earthquake or whatever situation is. Our toilet is just you just put it there, install, and that's it. You don't need to handle the suction part or whatever part there is, So they need the toilets. But question is, how can we? Do we have that demand so that we can create the supply? So of course, everything has to be planned properly, and yes, we are getting there. We are growing our business now. We have already investors who showed interest in grooming. Of course, we are serious in this business. We're not going to do like one day business, tomorrow we're gone. I'm serious because I've been in this business for the last 7-8 years. We were in Korea, we were in China. China government was interested to establish a toilet as well, but we pull out because we smell the copying part of them. They just want to get the secret recipe, and there you go. So we have to be very careful in our business at the same time with our formula. But of course, we want to grow big, and hopefully the government can support us in order to grow big, because our market is, as I mentioned, is huge. They also need to accept innovation. This is innovation. If the United Nations, we have won so many awards. What more are they looking for? I mean, yes, finally we got conditional approval for a project in national park, and yet there's still a lot of supporting documents required. So the last 1 year, we've been going in and out, trying to get the approval from the authority. This is the challenge that we are facing. So I hope there are more open-minded, like people in India, as they said, just put them in the procurement, just let them be in the list, and let our customer choose. If they want you, they take you, and that's it. No more pilot projects. And they still want to turn the project in Penang as pilot project. After 7-8 years, we are in this business. So yes, PPP helps,
Okay.
Pray and pray and pray.
Praise the third one, I guess. Patience, perseverance, and pray. I mean, I just want to, while listening to this conversation, I was thinking that probably there's from private sector or technology provider approach or designer approach is a specific aspect that you are trying to resolve, which is the black water here. But in the regulator's perspective, likely, possibly in the authority perspective, is then what happened to gray. So let's say like what is given to them is a whole package solution. I mean, I'm not saying from Ecolu, but whoever the project owner are, they say that no, for black, this is what we want to do. And gray, being not contaminated with black, can be recycled and reused. I guess that will be like an ideal packaged up solution from the regulators'
Correct.
angle. Maybe I do not know what they have in mind, but I think that is one aspect of it. But I guess I agree with what Mr. Dore was earlier mentioning as well. We are so used. Toilet is one of the least innovated. I mean, imagine our phones, right? In the last 10 years, how many versions of iPhone have changed, but not when it comes to toilets. I think what we had about maybe a couple of centuries had remained the same. That the only difference, as I said, beginning of the conversation, whether when you flush, it goes direct or it creates a vortex. I remember at one point of time, they created a vortex, and is it anything better? No, but it looks nice because it swirls and goes down rather than just goes down. So it's like, I guess the change is only for aesthetics, was never really for the purpose. And in this case, we are looking at a toilet that is also functioning, providing some form of treatment where it can be used. So seems to me the changes, because a lot of recently we had Asia Water Talks, and then I think we have a couple of other talks coming up, and a lot of times these talks are talking about high-end technology-based solutions, and rarely they look into the source of it, where the toilet is. I guess it will take some time. The three piece really make a lot of sense to me, without a doubt. But I do hope one way or the other we can actually get people to see that when they want to create solutions, especially now in the global level, we are talking about citywide inclusive sanitation approach and the solutions. Then all these aspects need to be looked at, not just at the end how high technology it is, but also when come to the collection bit, what can be done.
Correct.
Mr. Duris, do you have anything to say before we give Zuraina to say her last bit and close the? I mean, I think we have to have Zuraina back again, right? There's a lot of. I can see Mr. Duris' face. We have plenty not left answered. We need to bring you back. It's just that we have kept this program going for 1 hour and 40 minutes. 40 minutes in
Sorry.
addition. So, Mr. Duris, do you have
Uh,
something to add before we?
yeah, I want to thank Panzuraina for this, and especially for the PPP. That's something new I learned after many years. And I can tell that your third P is a really important one also. So thank you again. So thank you again.
Thank you, Zuraina. Before
Yeah,
we end the session.
I was something that I want you guys to think. Why do you think Bill Gates is reinventing the toilet? Think about it. I guess people like us are foreseeing the future where water is drying up. What if water is drying up? There are many places already facing drought. India, Australia, and many more. Um, you know, it means we need to reinvent or re-innovate the toilet. Um, yeah, we are not in a glamorous business here, but without toilet, you are suffering, man. I mean, without water, it's even worse, especially when you cannot flush. So in Australia, I was told by the Australian guy who visited our booth how the regulators regulate is they control the supplier of the toilets on the water consumption for flushing. So any toilet that you consume more than 2 liters of water, they will be penalized, or there will be penalty for the supplier. I think our government should think the same way too. You imagine this is a toilet I used in Convention Center, KL Convention Center. They have auto sensor, right? I sit, I stood, it flush. And I go out, it's still flashing. Until I come back, it's still flashing. Something is wrong, you know. So how much water is wasted? Yes, it's very modern, so called, but you are wasting a lot of water, our resources. Maybe we have a lot of water now, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. So I guess Bill Gates have seen this, and of course they are not interested in our innovation because it's already patented. To be honest, we have met them. So it's okay. I mean, you do your toilet, we do our toilet. We are focusing more on the off-grid areas. We're not targeting all these big luxury condominiums. We are targeting only off-grid areas. We understand that, and we want to hopefully conquer the portable toilet industry, because what you're having now in the world, the Toy so-called, or many other new brands coming up, are typical plastic toilet that is so not eco-friendly at all, and it's smelly. It gets smelly. It get more smelly when it's hot, and when you stay inside, it's hot. It's not comfortable. Unlike our toilet, it's very steady. It's made of FRP, very strong. You can just relax, enjoy. It's cool inside. It's spacious. That's all we want for toilets. I mean, that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Zuraina. Thank you very much for spending your Wednesday evening with us, despite it's exceeding the time. Mr. Dore, thank you very much for popping up and giving all your feedback, valuable knowledge and information. And to all those who are listening through YouTube and Facebook, thank you for staying with us. Appreciate it very much. Please do follow, tag, subscribe our YouTube and Facebook group, and we will have more programs coming up. And likely we will have to bring Zuraina again so we can have more conversations and questions that have been popped up and we are unable to answer. Thank
Thank you
you,
so much.
Zuraina. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Thank you,
Okay, good
everyone.
night.
Night.
Good night.